Hi there. Today I would just like to do a short video about the cross and explaining the cross with the help of this little fella here, the Mobius strip. This is a really interesting mathematical geometric shape discovered, I think it was around the 1850s. And it's an amazing thing because it's kind of like a belt or a loop, but the cool thing about it is you can have two sides on that loop and yet both of them can connect into one side. So if you send something around that loop, like on this diagram, this little red ball here will go round there and then on the inside, and so you have two sides that are fully engaged with each other just by flipping it on one arc there, one geometric arc. It's used today for quite a few things, but a practical use of the Mobius strip is a conveyor belt or a belt of some kind in an engine, and when you twist the belt, as you see in this image at the bottom here, it basically means that all parts of the belt will contact with the runners, and therefore we'll see the same amount of wear and tear. So what's this got to do with the cross? Well, I think it illustrates a point of the cross really beautifully. And you see here I've drawn a little diagram of what I mean. Understanding the cross in this way is quite helpful, and that is God is eternal, okay, and all his attributes of his character are perfect and eternal. At the cross, what we see is God's justice and his love crossing over at one point in time. What that means is that God's justice has to be fully fulfilled and God's love has to be fully fulfilled. God can't just ignore people's sin and take them to heaven, because he is perfectly just. Every sin you do, every crime a person commits, every wrongdoing has to have justice for God's perfect justice to be satisfied. But God is also perfectly loving. He created us and he loves us. So God's eternal attributes of both justice and love have to meet each other. Now, it's a Mobius strip because they both exist in one person. So two sides, two kind of opposite sides in a way. They're not diametric opposites, but they're two very different attributes, have to meet eternally, because God is eternal, at a certain point. So they're simultaneous and yet they clash, and where they clash in our reality is in the point of Jesus. That is God himself loving us and taking the justice due to us on himself. I've got some scriptures here. So God demonstrates his own love for us. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. God himself took his sin on us and satisfied his justice. His love and his justice were satisfied. Again, the cross is the place where the judge, God, takes the judgment. He has to judge, but he also loves. Two things that are perfect have to cross each other. You see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless because we couldn't do it ourselves, Christ died for the ungodly. The reason Jesus had to die is because our sin had to be punished, even the sins of the whole world, for God's justice to be satisfied. God can't just ignore sin. But salvation is not free. It came at a huge cost. When Jesus died on that cross, he didn't deserve it. His blood is of infinite value because he was literally sinless and perfect. So when he died and shed his blood for us on that cross, that satisfied God's infinite justice for man's sin. The message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing. So if this sounds silly to you right now, perhaps you're not ready for this message, but this is a really profound thing, and it's quite a simple message. See, this is the power of God, that God shows that his justice and his love had to cross over each other. But yeah, it may sound crazy to some people, but it's a really profound thing actually. It points to God being truly good and truly loving at the same time. It really points to God being perfect, and those two perfect things having to cross each other. It's a really profound and awesome thing. And this Mobius strip in a kind of infinity symbol, I feel really describes well what God has done for us at the cross. So it was for you, for me, for everyone, that the thing we have to do is believe in Jesus and follow him, and then we are hid in him, and his love covers the justice that's due to us. So God satisfies his love for us in that if we follow Jesus and believe in him, he counts his justice due to us for our sins, our wrongdoing, because we all do wrong, as being satisfied. And that is all I want to say today, or at least this morning. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.